activity 3A, I did mention we would be doing basically the same steps for the step 1 and step 2 will be the same as for 3A. What we will do for steps 3 and 4 and 5 will be a little bit different, okay? So first thing I want you to do is when you're in Photoshop, you're going to still have Photoshop open from when we did activity 3A. If for some reason you decided to close, or maybe we ran out of time, you're just gonna click on Photoshop again by clicking the icon down here. Okay, one thing that I want you to make sure before we move any forward or we go on in class would be to go to where it says the word Photoshop at the top of your screen next to the apple, and you're gonna look for preferences, and you're gonna go to file handling. Okay, now on your computer you're gonna see this option is unchecked, and I will explain in 1 second why we need this, but I want you to make sure that you're clicking on enable legacy save as. Okay, click enable legacy save as. Once you have it checked off, you can press OK. Now you're gonna see that if I go to file save as like I did in activity 3A, okay, if I go to the format list, you wouldn't have had all of these options. Okay, so I'm gonna press cancel. I'm gonna actually undo, and I'm gonna show you how it'll look if I uncheck this. So I'm gonna press OK, and I'm gonna go to file save as, and you'll see if I uncheck that option, I only have the option for these 4 file types, where in our class, as I said in a previous video, we'll be using for the most part, we're going to be sticking to Photoshop files and JPEGs. But there will be times when we want to use PNGs and other options, okay? Especially if you're interested in doing any kind of social media videos, you would want to do something like a GIF file, okay? So I'm going to go to File New, as it says on Activity 3B. We're working on 3B. Okay, and again, just like I said in the previous video, we are going to change the way we're saving the name or putting the name here. We're going to name it PS Activity 3B and our last name. Okay, or your last name, I should say, not our last name. Your width and your height is going to actually change for this one. So in the event that you were working with this size previously and you want to just switch the numbers, you can go in and type 11 and 8.5, and that will automatically change the orientation of the page, or you can just use these orientation options that you see here. Okay, so again, the width should be 11, the height should be 8.5. Okay, and I'm gonna leave everything else the same. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Color mode is going to be switched to CMYK. Let me see why it's not letting me do that. Okay, I see. So in order to change it to CMYK, we have to uncheck artboards here. Something to note is that artboards is a new feature that Photoshop allows us to do. So we have to uncheck that and change it to CMYK color, and then press create. Okay, now if you're wondering what an artboard is, if we haven't already discussed this in class, I'm going to go to this document and you'll see that these are multiple pages. An artboard is basically any extra pages. Okay, there are more pages that we add to our document. Okay, now for this, you're going to look up on Google an image that represents you. Okay, so I'll just go to Safari or Google Chrome. I might type in teacher. Let's see. Go to Google. When you're doing this activity, what you should think about is a word that you think best describes you. Maybe something that a lot of people tell you. Okay. Okay. Here, perfect. All right. Or maybe this one. Let me see. All right, I'll use this picture. So you'll notice this picture does have lettering on it. That's called a watermark. In most cases, I will not accept these types of pictures, but just for the sake of this activity and moving forward, I'm gonna drag it to my desktop like I did here. Sometimes when you drag a picture, it will come up as basically you won't be able to use it in Photoshop. Let me see, this one's fine. But sometimes when you go and you drag them into your document, they will come up and say it's not a recognized picture. If it does that, you can let me know and I can see what the problem is. Sometimes you'll just have to find more images. That's why I usually suggest when you're downloading images, find multiple. Don't just find one in case it doesn't work out. Sometimes things look better in our heads than they do on paper or on the computer. Okay, so you're gonna take your picture that you put on your desktop, drag it here. Okay, you're gonna see the X. You can press the return key on your keyboard. Okay, so that was step 4, and then step 5 is file save as. Again, make sure all of this information is correct. The where is correct, and when I say correct, you know where you're saving it. That's the main thing. And then the Photoshop PDF, and then we're gonna press save. Okay, and then press OK. Okay, this will everything here, you're just gonna leave it. You're gonna press save PDF, press yes. Okay, and then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my Finder, which is this smiley face icon over here, and that should have saved to my desktop. With our Mac computers, we can actually organize this to find things easier by clicking on either name or date modified. I'm going to click date modified, and you will see I have this picture right here as well as this file right here. Okay, if you're wondering how I was able to preview to see those files quickly, you use it when you click on a file like any of these files, you press the space bar and it opens up for you. Okay, and then you press the space bar when you want it to go away. So I can see that I have them saved on my document. Now what I would do is I would just click the X at the top. Okay, this is asking me if I want to save it as a Photoshop document. You always want to save a Photoshop document even if you don't plan on using it ever again. Press save and then press OK. This file, it was a blank file. We should just be able to close it. The next thing you would do is you would go on Google Classroom, upload your files, make sure your do now and exit tickets are also finished, whether they're Google Form or a Google Doc. Make sure that those are done, as well as making sure you guys are answering your notes section. Okay, make sure these notes are typed up in one document that you will be submitting on Thursdays. Okay, great. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, you can start working and submit what you have.